And why am I propped up on a pillow? 13 years ago, a box fell in my head and crushed my cervical spine, and I have lived horizontally ever since. And the first 8 years were really super dark. And it wasn't until um, I was on palliative care and the doctors were preparing us for the worst. They told us, our family, that this was the decline in my health would continue. There was no stopping it. It was just a matter of when. And I started to save pain for my family and write my eulogy. And in my eulogy, I received this bright blue pop of color, like completely filled my vision. And it told me to tell them now and not wait. And as I looked down at this eulogy, it was all gratitude. It was filled with gratitude. And I was given gratitude elevates truth. I had never met my spirit guides. I never knew my inner child. At this point, I was just felt like I was receiving these messages because I was already on the other side of the veil. I had one foot in each world, and my time would soon be up. Um, and this pop of color showed me how to get grateful. And it was GET, gratitude elevates truth. And I did. I took that eulogy and I turned it into just a thank you note for all of my friends and family who had helped us through the 8 years up until that point of this journey. And then once I did that, I started to receive another pop of color and another pop of color. And one led me to my inner child. And my inner child showed me that we had this trash can of traumas and insecurities that we had been filling up our entire life. And my inner child showed me that it was everything that we didn't know how to heal. It was everything that it's ever happened to us. And she showed me that it was time. Like, we had made a pact when I was 17 that I would come back to this, that I would come back and heal when I was ready, when I was strong enough to heal. And within it was everything that has ever happened to me from like first memory on. And there were very dark moments in there for my inner child. And I can see why we sealed it off and we just tucked it away. But it was through those pops of color that showed me that within that trash can of all the traumas and insecurities, it was the shame and blame. It was the shame that I held for the things that happened to me that weren't my fault. But it was also the blame for the time that I held on to them. And when these pops of color came through and forgiveness came through, I was losing my ability to chew and swallow. I was already knocking on death's door. Then I was told I needed a feeding tube because I wasn't getting enough nutrients in, that I was already drinking in all my meals, and I still drink in 80% of my meals come through a straw. But it was such a fear. The first, it was the fear of dying, which we had gotten over that through this pop of color. But then it was the fear of losing my voice, of having this tube shoved down my throat for the rest of my living life. And there was no succession plan off of palliative care. It was a do or die trying. And I decided to do or die trying. And I wasn't supported by my family. I wasn't supported by the doctors, but I wanted to be off of opiates because I wanted to know what clarity felt like. I was getting these pops of color, like the in the most painful moments of the in between the opiates, or the in between the morphine, or the in between having to have a drink for travel, or the drinks. We used alcohol for pain at the time as well. I wanted clarity. I wanted the clutter to go away, and I didn't know how to do that without doing this cold turkey. And it was right as the world was shutting down. It was March of 2020 when the forgiveness frequency truly was birthed, when I had to face my fear of losing my voice and having a feeding tube. And like, I was even over the death part of it. That could come. I was not even worried about it. I was just worried about living with anything more and facing my fears. And so forgiveness kept telling me, like, this time will be different. This time will be different. Just do it. Show up. And every day I would show up and I would just drink in the rainbow. I would fill all my sips with watermelon, and I started blending up everything because I needed the pulp. I couldn't juice. It needed to be the full pulp so I could get all of uh, the density from it. And then these pops of color just kept showing me more ways to heal and more recipes to try, and how to get 30 vegetables in one drink just by blending up all of these green vegetables. And then it showed me how to take that same concept for root vegetables. And I don't know about you, in a day, I couldn't eat carrots anymore, right? Because they were too hard. It was too hard to swallow. Salads were out. So these pops of color just kept giving me guidance, and it was fully my intuition. It was my higher self. And it was before I had healed my relationship with God, and source energy. I just kept like, okay, I thought I was going crazy. I still thought I was close to that side of the veil, but I just kept showing up every day, and then putting my rainbow on repeat. And every rhythm is a repeat. And if you put your rainbow on repeat, it's that memory. Remember, like a song that you heard and you sung when you were little, but the minute you hear it again, you know every word. That is what the same thing occurred with when you put your rainbow on repeat. And that's what this journey has. Every color had a frequency and vibration to it. And that went into the infinity loop of forgiveness. Every fear we upcycled, every trash can truth our inner child brought forth that we upcycled, we journaled it out, we changed the narrative, we changed the color, we found the truth within, and then we upcycled it using meditation, mirror work, music, muscle movement. It's a jamming session. We would do breath work, journaling, affirmations, music, muscle movement, meditation, mindfulness. The M&Ms kind of go on forever. Mantras, magic. We also had our inner child, nature, grounding, gratitude. So we would just use all these little tools to help us. And then we would get on our pillow and we would have a pillow party. And I have this big neck brace that I usually am wearing, but it's a little too late to wear it. And after I got out of the shower and was told I was doing a hug, I prop myself up on the pillow so I get a little bit more uptime. With every up, there's a down. And living in chronic pain by coloring it took about a year, and we were fully off of all of our opiates, and we had fully detoxed within about 6 months. And then we were able to get sober. Our sips went sober. So within the first 2 years, we were able to be completely free of all drugs and alcohol. And we no longer had to use cannabis for pain, to eat. We just found a way to color pain every single day. And I still pass out from pain multiple times a day. Every up has a down. I used to only get 3 or 4 hours up a day, and now I'm getting about 6. And that's pretty like freaking miracles. And I'm still here. And that's a miracle in itself as well. I just want to thank all of those who have joined this live today and this live healing hugs, where healers need healers too. We need to wrap each other in a hug, and the hugs are healing that's universally guided. And we just need to be here for each other and really allow ourselves to receive a hug, because we spend so much time giving and healing and hugging and offering our assistance to the collective that sometimes you just need your own hug. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you would like to learn more about the forgiveness frequency, there is a ton of videos on our YouTube channel that will have walk you through. There's also a Pop of Color podcast that I share our pillow talks and stories. There's a new course that just launched last week of the forgiveness frequency, the journey to healing in color. It's on the Brave Healers Transformation School, and that's available. And that takes you through about 80 minutes of the forgiveness frequency, and it leads you in and out of the frequency since it's so high vibrational, and it activates your frequency using your birth flame and all of the colors, and it has these massive activations within it and a lot of extra bonus material too. We're going to